Shit looks mad different now. It makes no sense. I don't like
Updates
when
happen.
the updates happen, man. Some updates are necessary, right? But sometimes if it's going good, don't touch it. Leave it alone. But with all that being said, another episode of Sports Talk with DesPain. And of course, basketball season hasn't ended yet. That's why you see the both of us. We're not even going to be talking. We can't even talk about the end of the series because it hasn't ended yet.
Yeah.
But I got my brother E-Man, the host of Mr. Vincent podcast, the Mr. Vincent podcast. Make sure you guys do me a favor and check my man's out. Got some amazing content. Absolutely better than me when it comes to all the social media stuff because I am really bad at that shit, especially right now. I just been kind of off that for a little
Yeah.
bit. But definitely, and he's a man of all like trades. You ask it, he is gonna get it done for you. I'm sure of it. So a salute to my brother. But
Good looks, man.
before
Good
we
looks.
before we get into game seven, I just had a couple things to like bring up before we get too in too deep. Couple topics that I've seen circling around. First and foremost, some trades happen. Well, at least one. Desmond Bane going to Orlando for a series of picks in KCP and Cole Anthony. How did you feel about that trade initially when you first saw it?
I was just shocked to see a trade transpire when the season hasn't come to an end yet. So I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of new. You don't really see this when the finals is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first thought, like, what the hell? But then thinking about it, I'd like to trade a lot for Orlando because I feel like that's a move that signals that they're ready to try to win the East next year, knowing that there's so many question marks, like with Boston, with Tatum almost like going to miss the rest of the year. They're going to have to get off some contracts and unload some players to get under the second apron. The Knicks, we don't know what's going to happen with them. They don't have a head coach yet, can't get that situation resolved. And even though the Pacers are probably still going to be the favorites next year coming into the season, but what it did this season, they don't really feel like they would be necessarily an instant like juggernaut, like a team that's unbeatable
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
going into next season. So I like the mentality that the Pacers had, and plus Desmond Bane's a good 3-and-D guy. I think they're like one of the worst teams, if not the worst team, shooting the three ball on this past season. So he's going to help out a lot in that sector. So I like going up with Paolo rather, and Wagner. I think that they could be a really tough team in the East. I say top three. So right now, if I had to like rank them, who's going to be the top three seeds in the Eastern Conference, I would have to put Orlando in there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, my initial reaction was I thought it was a good trade in my personal opinion. I mean, part of me understands how this NBA, front office thing goes. I think to me, a lot of those first rounders, like keep in mind, folks, NBA has 2 rounds in the draft. Sometimes those shits, I'm sure I don't know if you know what the percentages of the success rate of hitting on a player that you got in the first round. I don't think it's that high. Even the top 10 pick, it's really not that high. If it was, we would see a lot of top 5 picks going to finals appearances and all this other stuff. We're not seeing that. You know what I'm saying? So I think people started to like judge right away, like they did with the Mikal Bridges trade. And we all do. We all do it. Like in the moment, we're like, oh, that's too much. Why would you give all that for Gobert? Like, why would you give all that for Bridges? When it comes to checks and balances in logistics of the NBA, that shit don't matter to them. When a team is going all out with all bunch of picks, they're trying to tell you right then and there, we're trying to win now. The youth movement, we already went through that. And that's what Orlando did. They went through the youth movement. Those kids are growing up now. And matter of fact, to your point, they have an opportunity to be the top 3 team in the league in the East because the simple fact, like a lot of people forgot, like those two boys, them two men, they missed a lot of games last year.
They did.
A lot of games. We're not talking about just, you know, load management. We're talking about a couple months each. You know what I'm saying? With the same injury, which is kind of crazy to see. You know what I mean? But yeah, I love the trade too. Like I think Desmond Bane's a bucket. He averages 20. He's like a CJ McCollum. Like you can plug him in, he's gonna give you 20. That's just what it is. I don't think he was fitting the same anymore for Memphis, and it looks like Memphis is gonna keep Triple J there. They're talking extension. They also may end up giving John Morant an opportunity to prove himself for at least this coming season. Because again, the second April thing is a serious deal. If you don't have an owner who's willing to pay that tax, your team is going to be selling. And that's just the way it is. And that leads me to the next conversation. Your Lakers sold for 10 billion. Um, what was your initial reaction when you saw that? Because that came out of nowhere because there was no rumors of that whatsoever.
Yeah. I think I heard it's been in the works, but obviously to the public, it just came. It was like it came out of nowhere. I'm going for $10 billion. I never thought I'd see the day where the Buss family wasn't the majority owner of the Lakers, especially with Jerry, how we took that team and made it like the iconic brand that it is, probably the most popular brand in basketball. I know the Celtics probably the most historic, but I thought the Lakers are the most like popular brand in basketball. So I thought that Jeannie would try to keep it in the family as long as she can. But I mean, this is going to show like how a lot of people like don't want to put up with the high payroll, second aprons, right? And then you got these teams, these organizations or teams that are like valued higher than ever. So a lot of people are looking at like this is probably the right time to cash out and just get out
Hmm.
of it and then put ourselves in a good situation where we can get this money and then try to like invest in other things. So that's what I thought about it. But I do think that as the Lakers are going to be because the Lakers have been kind of run like a mom and pop shop over the years, especially with Genie and them. So now they got a real owner who's had success with the Dodgers and see what he did with the Dodgers. So I think that this is going to probably be really good for the Lakers. That they are going to be probably be make some serious acquisitions or trades to really like propel them to elite status. I don't know how long that's going to be. It can be next year. It can be a few years. But I think that this is a great move for the Lakers, having like a legit ownership group that has a track record like they do with the Dodgers, that is focused on like putting the best people in the positions needed, whether it be like front offices, trainers, and everything, and then the players and holding the players accountable and everything. So I think it's going to go a long way for the Lakers brand going forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you as well. I'm not really tied in with a lot of the details of the deal and also a lot of the nuance of like what's going on with the Lakers throughout the last few years. But the one thing I can say is true from what you're saying is when you get an owner, that's why there's a huge difference between what the Celtics ownership being that team being sold to that owner versus what the Lakers just did. We have It's a very big unknown, and we're seeing the actual direct reaction to that because for one, the previous owners of the Celtics decided to give everybody a pay raise. Had an interesting time. Like, I get it, you give it to them, they won the championship, but now you have to deal with the fact that you can't even unload that. So that owner has to deal with the big payroll. Whereas the Lakers, no, it was just really LeBron was the highest player on the team, paid player, and then they offloaded Ant Davis contract for Luca's, and then it's just a bunch of guys. You know what I'm saying? A lot of Jags. Knowing how that owner is, like you mentioned, he's the Dodgers owner. The Dodgers spend bread.
Yeah,
They're paying the tax. They know it leads to championship appearances. They have the biggest name in baseball in their team. They were able to recruit him there, and they recruit his friends. You know what I'm saying? They brought like crossing sports. They brought Freddie Freeman, who was a former MVP. Mookie Betts, a former MVP. They did those things. All that tells you is this: he is going to make sure he keeps LeBron as long as he can, which hopefully LeBron retires sometime soon. He's getting like hit left and right with all types of whatever people want to talk about. It will allow Luca to commit to the team long term because it plays a huge part for players knowing that they have an owner that's willing to pay the tax,
yeah,
willing to commit to them as well. And then they're gonna be buyers. They're gonna be looking to add more stars. The Lakers were known to be the entertainment hub outside of the Knicks for when it came to the fan base and the players. You always had, very popular players who loved Hollywood coming to the Lakers. The allure of that had disappeared for a while until LeBron decided to come over there. So with all that being said, it was a good deal for them. 10 billies, 10 billy, bro. The highest in what, pro sports?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for them. That is very impressive. And I'm sure that new owner is looking at the long term with the expansion above the horizon. So it makes sense. It makes sense. It's not going to be for the last time we see a team being sold. There's going to be more of them. I hope the
Yeah.
Knicks decide to sell because Dolan's going to screw them left and right. Because that situation should have never ended the way it did. However, people feel about Thibodeau, you let that man stay. Let him, And I've been saying this, like, I don't know if you agree with me with this. Like, we've been seeing this in the last 15 years in the NBA lately and the reason why coaches don't last. I feel like a lot of franchises say, "Hey, we're gonna get this guy. He's gonna help us develop these young guys, get him to become playoff type caliber players. And if we get deep enough into the playoff and it doesn't succeed the way we want it
Hmm.
to, we'll just replace him with another guy who's gonna get us over the hump. Mark Jackson, Mike Brown, you name it, you name it. There's a long list of guys that either won Coach of the Year or went to the finals or Eastern Conference or Western Conference finals, and they get the axe because analytics is overpowering the league right now, and that's one issue. The second issue is owners know it makes sense to them. I could write this off. I got a guy who's able to develop. Like you look at the Utah Jazz situation, they keep extending that coach. He was a coach for the Celtics. To keep extending him, he's developing that shit. Once they get their stars or whatever they need over there, all it takes is for one playoff berth and he doesn't succeed, or a couple playoff berths he doesn't succeed, he's out of there. You know what I'm saying? You be sure to understand, Minnesota's going to end up with that same situation with their coach. He may not last that long because you have a young superstar. You need to find a way to keep him there. If it ain't working with that current coach, they're gonna make changes. You know what I'm saying? But not to get too off track. Game seven's around the corner. The next 24 hours. Today is the very last day the Celtics could call themselves champions. Unfortunately, I don't know when the next time they will win one. I know Laker fans will talk their shit anyways and say they've only won two in the last 30 something years.
39.
You got the exact number. Fuck you. Yeah, but yeah. What I said, man, I told you, dog. Like it's either gonna be a fucking sweep or it's going seven. I knew there was no in between. Even when the Thunder were up 3-2, when they were up or when they tied it 2-2, I was like, there's no way they can finish this in six. Like they're going back to Indiana. They better I even that ass. I told people this. I was like, even if Halliburton didn't play, and I know he played a big part to that win because his presence is enough. That just comes to show that he's truly the leader of that team. But nonetheless, even if he didn't play, knowing what I've seen from Nemhard leading the charge, know what I've seen from Siakam doing his voodoo magic throughout this whole playoffs, knowing what I've seen from Obi Toppin, that's just crazy. I don't understand none of that shit right there. I think they would have still won that game without Hallie. You understand? Because that team is so fueled off of that great home court advantage with the fans. Their style is not really something you can coach against. You can't really coach like if you're turning over the ball, you can't defeat a team that runs that love to run. There's no way. So it's so crazy that we're here. And it's what, 10 years ago? Or maybe almost 10 years
9
ago since
years.
the last
Yeah.
since the last game seven in the NBA finals? That's crazy. And it's the two greatest words in sports. And unfortunately there's only a few sports that can say that.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, I've always said this: Game Six is usually the biggest teller for me. The best performances should be spoken about more on Game Six because somebody had to play desperate that day. Somebody's either behind one or somebody's already ahead one, and they had a sense of urgency. The one thing I can say about the Thunder, they had zero sense of urgency. They played like a team that knew they had a tomorrow, which is the worst thing you can do as a team. But what
You're
would you?
gambling there.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. What do you think about how the series has gone so far?
It's been a roller coaster. I didn't expect this. I'd have the Thunder in five. I knew Indiana was good. I just didn't think that they were good enough to hang with the Thunder, to have a realistic chance to beat them. But I underestimated because I looked at it like, you know what, they don't have a generational talent like a Nikola Jokic or athletic freak like Ant Edwards that they should be able to contain these guys relatively well. But I underestimated the fact how hard it is to contain a team that thrives off man movement, ball movement, and like you really can't zone in on any particular player because it could be anybody at any given moment in the game. Several guys you can go to, and you got guys like topping at the bench, McConnell, or even Matherin. So I underrated that element of it and everything. But I'm just still shocked that the Thunder are really at this point. Like you said, to talk about what you said, I was really like disappointed in the effort in Game 6. I thought that they just like played like, oh, like no sense of urgency. They knew that they had Game 7. And I'm like, hey man, that's just a dangerous way to think. I think that they showed their youth just and how they approached that Game 6. Because it's not the problem that they lost, it's how they lost. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you like what's gonna happen in Game 7. It could be a slugfight. That's what usually tends to happen in Game 7s because teams already know each other in and out. There's really no more X's and O's. It's usually a gritty, ugly game, and a team pulls away, kind of like in a midway through the fourth and everything. Could be a blow up of OKC. That's possible because they really haven't had yet their signature game from beginning to end. On the defensive side of the floor, that can be in play for Sunday. I kind of doubt it though, because this is Game 7. I think what Indy's done so far, if that would have happened, that would have happened early in the series. So I think it possibly can be a relatively close game heading into the fourth or even at the midway point.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I could see. Part of me feels like it can be a blowout, only because Oklahoma City are really that damn good at home, and they'll give you one at that crib. They will, and it's usually early in the series because they don't, you know, the inexperience. I'm not gonna say youth because I guess the Pacers are relatively young too. I think
I
people
believe the
forget
Pacers are
about
like
that.
our top three youngest team. I know OKC
Yeah,
is the youngest. And I think they're
yeah.
numbered 2 or 3.
And between those two teams, guess how many players have played in a Game 7 in the finals? None, zero. But the one thing I give the OKC Thunder is that they've played in more Game 7 opportunity situations than the Indiana Pacers have in the last couple seasons, postseasons at least. I believe they went to a Game 7 last year.
With the Knicks,
Correct me
yeah.
if I'm wrong. Yeah, no, Thunder
No, Thunder with the Game 6 with the Mavs, but they went Game 7 this year with the
with
Nuggets.
Denver. Yeah. So, but that was a lot of adversity on its own because they played, arguably the best player in the NBA and
Yeah,
his team. You know what I'm saying? And you can say what you want about Aaron Gordon being down, but he did play the game. So let's not use that as an excuse for why they won. They routed them motherfuckers out of that. They routed Denver out of that freaking stadium. They said, "Get the fuck out of here." You know what I'm saying? But to your point, Indiana last year did play the Knicks Game 7. Their Game 7 with the Knicks was a little bit different than OKC Game 7 of this year because everybody died on the Knicks. One by each quarter, there was one guy going off the court, and
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
Josh Hart.
OG didn't make it through the whole game, and then Brunson
Yep,
got hurt.
and then Josh Hart missed the game because he got hurt the previous game. So, and the Knicks were at home, which I guess in favor of the Pacers, it plays in their favor. You know what I'm saying? They're road warriors for the most part, most of the postseason of this year and the last year as well. So yes, it is hard to tell. Who knows? Maybe we're going to get one of the biggest upsets in NBA history since that 2016, or maybe we just see the icing put it on the cake of a great historic season for the Thunder. It's
Yeah,
one or the other at this point. And I'm not mad at either scenario. The only thing I'm going to be upset about is how people are going to downplay how well SGA season was. Because I
yep.
think that's just not, I think it's not fair to do that. I mean, game sevens happen. You can't fault him and then start comparing him to other people because he's gotten to his team got into he's still averaging 30 a game. He had a very amazing game 5 to lead to a game 6 elimination opportunity. So I don't think people need I think people just are so focused on staying in that vacuum sometimes. They don't allow themselves to kind of expand their mind and understand like there's more to it. Like sometimes players like him are so great doesn't mean that everything around you is being great too. I think
Yeah.
how many points did Allen Iverson average against the Lakers in 2000?
I can't remember. I'm sure it was something crazy.
But he was the MVP that year. He was one of the best. But nobody's gonna sit there and talk shit about Allen Iverson, bro. Like they were amazed by his trajectory in making it to a finals. Maybe because he was the underdog. That's probably why people don't say much. But it's like, why is it such a big deal for some people like to like really look for a reason to not like somebody who's actually not a bad person or actually a great player at that?
Yeah, I'm a big SGA fan. I don't really try to hold that. It's my guy. So I want them to win so he can have like one of the best seasons we've seen since like the likes of Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem, when winning like what the MVP championship, Finals MVP in the same season. Like it's really the short
Hmm.
list of guys who've done that, along with the scoring titles he had. And of course, the award is relatively new, but the Western Conference Finals MVP. So yeah, if he wins and most likely would be the Finals MVP, that would be just like one of the best seasons we've ever seen. So a lot of at stake for him. And I ain't gonna lie, I want them to win because I'm an SGA fan, not a Thunder fan per se, but an SGA fan.
Which is fine. I mean, that's what the NBA. That's what's the great thing about the NBA is that as kids, as we were youngins, we were becoming fans of actual players, and we became fans of that actual players' teams because players didn't move around a lot that back then. People don't understand how the 2010s was a different time for basketball. That's when we saw more A-list players ever like moving around in free agency. It used to not be like that. It was like even when Shaq went to the Lakers, that was like Shaq after playing. Shaq was still young. Like he was still like I think what 4 years into the league, 5 years into the league. It
About
wasn't.
4 years, I think.
Yeah, he wasn't like he wasn't like the dominant Shaq that you saw in 2000. He wasn't that yet. He was
Not yet.
dominant, but he wasn't that yet. Feel me? Like we weren't seeing this play move, and then when people start just to compare like what Jordan did for the staying with the Bulls and going through the ebbs and flows of the Bulls, franchise lows and highs, like people don't realize free agency didn't start till the late '80s or mid '80s. Players didn't have the leeway to move when they wanted to, and better yet, there was no money like this. This money wasn't crazy then. There wasn't this many big markets for these
Yeah.
guys to go to. The league was much smaller then. Like guys weren't moving, so it's like I think people just focus on the wrong things when it comes to shit like that. But nonetheless, like in my opinion, like I mean, I'm with you. I'm not gonna say I'm an SGA fan. I like him. I love him a lot actually because that's a different type of game he's playing that these young men need to start putting into their package, put in their bag because it's like the 3-point ball, as exciting as it can be, I think there's a very good like two handfuls of players in the league who could do it on a consistent basis. Everybody else got to get back into that arc. Everybody else got to focus on that because they can hit the midi. Don't get me wrong. Listen, these are professional basketball players. You put them in any court right now, they're hitting middies all day. They just choose to go with the numbers and it
Analytics.
says shoot them fucking threes. I think we need more coaches or more front office guys to say, hey, listen, guys, we're watching what the Pacers are doing. We're watching what OKC is doing. I don't think this 3-point ball game shit, this Missoula ball, whatever you want to call it these days, that shit ain't working like we thought it was.
Yeah.
The numbers game probably is cool in the regular season, but they ain't winning championships. What the Celtics did is an anomaly. And part of the Celtics' success last year was because they were very good defensively, too. So there was a lot of that's one thing people keep forgetting. The reason why the three ball looks so good for them, they were stopping a lot of teams from shooting their three ball. So
Yeah, there was
it,
like
it
top five on both offensive defense rate
yeah,
last season.
yeah, it became an avalanche for them versus many teams in that playoffs in the East. But this what we're seeing from OKC and the Pacers, that's different, bro. High efficiency shooting. The one thing with the Thunder right now is killing them. They're not hitting the three. Game 5 worked in their favor because they were able to grind that motherfucker out, right? Game 6, they still were struggling from shooting that three. I'm not sure Game 7 is going to be the same thing because they're home, role players play better at home, and so on. But nonetheless, the Pacers, they play with such high confidence, bro. I've never seen a team play this high with such high confidence, dog. TJ McCollum TJ is really going into the paint, bro, and shooting reverse layups on 7-footers. Like, what the fuck is that? I
Everybody's
don't
worried about
understand
him
it.
being a threat in the passing game, so they don't really pack the paint. So yeah,
Right.
he's just taking advantage of everything on the.
He was hitting fadeaway middies, bro. I was like, all right, we know OKC lost this game, right? Obi Toppin playing like he's motherfucking Vince Carter out there. Like, nah, bro, come on, man. What is going on? But that's what it is. Rick Carlisle is doing a great job, man. I think that's one of the most underrated things about this series is he is absolutely one of the best coaches in the NBA. Point blank, period.
Oh, he's a Hall of
No
Fame
question
coach.
about it.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest coaches of all
100%.
time. But yeah,
100%.
like that's like the advantage. That's like the only advantage I thought they really had coming into the series with the coaching because Carlisle is so seasoned and everything. Like Dagnall's a good coach, but Carlisle's seasoned. He's been here before. We've seen him do it with different types of offenses, type like of roster constructions and everything. And he's gonna have a good game plan going in. I just didn't think that it'll ever get to a seventh game, but
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
here we are. Shocked. Still can't believe it. I told dudes like after game 5, no, after game 4, this is the best series since 2016. I think I was right.
Yeah.
I
I
was talking
thought,
to I was talking to
yeah,
Chelsea. He said I think it's Boston and Golden State. I'm like, you know what? I don't know about that. It's close, but I didn't really think at all at any point in that series that Boston was going to win that series. I
yeah,
thought at the point, okay, that the place is going to win this series. Like, oh yeah, they might win this series.
yeah.
So
If anything, the Thunder do look like that Boston Celtics team from 2022. The way they've been moving in this playoffs, in this series, I would say, because they're showing their inexperience, but also they showing their talent too. They're very talented.
yeah,
Like we wouldn't be shocked if we saw J Dub go for 40 again. We wouldn't be shocked if we saw SGA go for 30, 6-5, and 4 steals and 5 blocks. We wouldn't be shocked. We wouldn't be shocked if Chet finally,
oh, he's playing
play like
atrocious
it. Yeah, we
on
wouldn't be
offense. He's
shocked.
being good defense, but offense is being
Yeah,
atrocious.
offensively he's in trash, but we wouldn't be surprised if he suddenly had 25 points because they can do that. It's
Again,
just it's up to them to slow the game down for themselves because that's the one thing that could beat the Pacers is playing that half court methodically. Like you can't just if you try to match them basket for basket, pace for pace, you're gonna be tired out. I don't care how young you are, how old you are, how experienced you are. They are built to go from 1 to 12, same pace. Even when they put their 7-footers in there, they're running too. Like it's just ridiculous. So for the Thunder, they just need to settle in, play that half court, lock up on defense. Halliburton, if he's truly hampered with the calf, which kind of looks like it's not,
yeah. I don't know
you
if I
gotta
believe him about a cash train. I don't believe that BS.
he's not even in the
Or it
injury
might
report
be.
no more.
I'm looking at KD's cash stream. Like he clearly had a cash stream when it happened in 2019 because he
Hmm.
got injured in like the second round. Didn't come back until like game 4 of the finals, and then tore his Achilles, and clearly he was injured. Whereas how like Halliburton may be hurt but not injured, and they're treating him like he's like KD in that situation. That ain't the same thing.
No,
No way, because he wouldn't be able to perform like he did on game 6. Just wouldn't happen.
that brother is not even on the injury report, dog. That brother is he took whatever Siakam was doing in that huddle, praying to the whatevers he was praying to,
What
they healed
you
him.
mean channeling his inner Undertaker? This was crazy.
Yo,
So when
that
I
shit,
first saw it, I saw the NBA Central poster. I thought it was a joke. Then I found it
yo,
was real. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. What the hell
I
is
was,
that?
I was like, what the yo, yeah. I was like, I've been joking about them dudes doing some talking type of dark magic all playoffs. That looked like some dark magic, I tell you. But yeah, before we end this, who you got on game 7? I mean, it looks like you already said it.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna stick with the team that had the 68 wins, one of the best statistical seasons we've seen on the defensive side of the ball in league history. SGA reigning the MVP, Western Conference Finals MVP, scoring champ, has been sensational this playoff run, doing things like Mike and AI have done at the guard position. So I think I'm going to lean with the Thunder. They're going to get that emotional support from the home crowd. They're going to be eager to see their team win their first championship in franchise history. I'm not counting the Seattle days. I think that's going to be enough to swing the momentum their way. I got them winning by like pulling away late by like 12, 14 points.
And obviously SGA as the MVP.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm with you on that too. I think it's gonna be a blowout.
Not a sucker for a blow though. That'll be really bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be one of those type of blowouts. I think it's just
Uh,
gonna be like, you know, the avalanche starts coming down fourth quarter once SGA comes off the bench type of shit. Like, it's gonna and it leads with their defense because when OKC's playing in their best basketball, it's their defense. Their defense is suffocating. They're gonna get the home whistle. So it's like, good luck, man. That's why I can tell the Pacers just good luck. Just pray Neesmith doesn't foul out. Pray Nemhard can still shoot that three threes in a row like he did last game. Because the way the OKC is gonna come into this game, I'm sorry. I can see it now. They're gonna just go off because it's in their favor. But I'm like I said, I have no sides on the fight. I just am in agreement with you. It would be great to see someone be celebrated like SGA to do what some all of the players haven't been able to do yet. So, besides a few, I got that as a Thunder win, Thunder championship, and SGA MVP. Do you have anything to say?
You pretty much said the same thing I said.
Yeah, but before I let you go, I did want to jump on a topic that's been like kind of
Please don't.
circulated.
Please.
No, I need to hear you. I need to hear you. Hold up, hold up. But the way I'm gonna bring this up is not the same way. My question to you is this: do you think King James himself has been chasing rings his whole career?
Chasing rings. I won't say he's ring chasing per se. I can say that he has constantly tried to put himself in position to win championships using his leverage by like signing short term deals, letting us go to Miami to join Bosh and Wade in what was that 20. And then once he saw that Wade was deteriorating as an offensive player and everything, and he knew that the window was relatively closed, what did he do? Go to Cleveland. But he only went to Cleveland. Yeah, he framed it as, oh, he's coming home. But he knew that they had Kyrie there. And he knew they had the number one pick that they could able to, which is what, Wiggins. And then they turned that into Kevin Love and everything. And then once that was kind of, that flamed out and everything, he goes to LA. Now, albeit LA didn't have a lot of like great players there, but he knew that he still had that he had the muscle. It is Hollywood. If he's there, he could probably attract other players to come there as well. And then of course, Clutch did represent Anthony Davis, who conveniently wanted out of his situation and only wanted to go to the Lakers. So yeah, I'm not gonna say LeBron was ring chasing, but he definitely put himself in position, the best position possible to be successful and capture a championship or
Mhm.
championships.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's the truth.
it is the truth, and I agree with you because that's the same mindset I've been having this whole week when I've been hearing this topic. I don't disagree with him all the way through about what he's been saying. That is a problem we have. We had this conversation already. The ring culture thing, the whole like that's the only thing that really solidifies your greatness. I think that just got so like it's getting to the point where it's so boring because it's like you could just say anybody's great because they got a ring. You know what I'm saying? There's some I don't want to say bum players. There's some mediocre players that are borderline Hall of Famers who got a ring that should never be in anybody's top 50 or top 100. You know what I'm saying? Just because they have a couple or maybe one and they never lost others, that means that they're greater than someone else. Like what? That doesn't take you down. I don't think it takes you down a notch. You're great. You're great. Where you stand in people's top three, top five, that's on them. However you feel, every great player thinks they're the best of all time. Kareem felt that way. That's why he never really was around when it came to like those Kobe years or whatever. He was never really that around. He was just not really like trying to be all. He knew he was the. He felt he. If you asked him right now, he'd be like, I am the Lakers." Yo, Kareem, he's more humble now, but back then he was like egotistical person. Magic, same thing. He probably would say the same thing. Michael Jordan absolutely feels like he's the greatest player of all time. I don't think that conversation is not going to ever end because if the NBA is going to last forever, there's going to be different people that we're going to talk about. It all really depends on your perspective on how you view greatness in the era you watched. Like for me, I have no right to be talking about no Bill Russell. I have no right to be talking about anybody in the 70s. Maybe, and better yet, even though I know the history of the 80s with Bird, Magic, and all that, I have no right for that either. I know what I saw in the 90s. I know what I saw in the 2000s. I know what I saw in 2010s. If we want to be real, real about this, Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron were the best of each era of basketball, in my opinion. 2010s was LeBron, 90s was Jordan. Those are the greatest of all time to me. Whatever order you want to put it on, that's on you. My order is going to start with Jordan, always and forever. You can flip flop 2 and 3 all you like. It's not, it has nothing to do with the championships to me. It all comes down to the influence of the game, the championship level you played in that game, and the fact that you are living up to the standard of who you are. Because to this day, LeBron has never not lived up to the standard, nor did Kobe, and he got criticized. And Jordan started getting criticized before his chips. Until after his chips, people find a way to make it seem like he played bums. So it's like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because everybody has their own opinion and feels about it. Do I think James chased rings? Absolutely not, because he had to create teams. Like, however you want to go cut it. But I think Gilbert Arenas made a great point. Not everybody has the luxury to get drafted by the Lakers or the Celtics or a big market, whereas LeBron was drafted by Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And Cleveland, New Orleans, Charlotte, those teams, all those bum ass teams, they are more than likely to lose their star players. Like Minnesota is praying that Ant Edwards can win a championship with them, because if it doesn't happen, he is going to like a New York or somewhere that's relevant to his stardom. That's the reality of life. And that's
Which
why
puts pressure on all these GMs to draft well and make the necessary like trades, acquisitions, and everything to keep your
exactly,
star player happy and everything. So a lot of pressures on the small market teams.
exactly. And that's the way I feel about him. Like, he went to Cleveland. He put what, 7 years there, whatever it was, 5, 6, seven
I
years.
think 7.
Yeah. And he was like, okay, let me go. I'm a free agent. This never happens in sports often, where the best player in the league or one of the best players in the league is jumping ship. And nobody agrees with the freaking decision. I didn't like it. I hated the shit out of that. Most people don't like it to this day.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably the worst thing that happened for him, because that led to more than what it should be for his legacy. We should have been like, oh shit, LeBron went to fucking Miami. What the fuck is that? Like, shocked. Instead, we're over here like, this is just stupid. He decided to go on TV and tell us where he's going. Like, it never should have been that way, but it happened. But nonetheless, he wasn't chasing shit because Miami didn't win. Miami hadn't win a ring over there since Wade's 2006 year.
Yeah.
And then he went back to Cleveland that had 0 championships, brought one there with one of the greatest comebacks of all time. And then he went to one of the most illustrious franchises of all time, and he kept the tradition going. So it's like, I take that on its own, being that he's lost 6 of those championships, which is a team accomplishment and a team failure. Although that was the case, you can't take that away from him, that he actually lived up to some type of hype in each time that he made those times he's gone. Like, he just ran into some juggernauts. Like, this motherfucker ran into the fucking Warriors. Like, there's nothing you can do
The
about that.
KD Steph Warrior era is fucking insane.
Insanity. But I just wanted to bring that up because I think it's a hot topic right now for a lot of people to talk about. It's a interesting to hear people's opinions on it. Did he have to go that route? He didn't have to say nothing about that until after his career. I know where he's coming from, but also he knows he's gonna ruffle the right feathers, and people are gonna talk about it. So that's just the influence that LeBron James had. And
You
then of
got that
course,
right.
today everybody's NFL GOAT, finally gave him the crown today, and said he was the greatest of all time. So
What happened? Who said what?
Tom Brady, at the Fanatics event, called LeBron the greatest of all time.
Oh, you said that? Okay. I haven't been on social media all day. Been freaking
Yeah,
busy.
well,
So
it popped up in the notification. I was like, okay. So what else? He probably told you to say that for all we know, if we're gonna go down the conspiracy route. But nonetheless, Game 7 tomorrow. We both got OKC. If we're wrong, goddamn, we've probably seen one of the greatest runs by an underdog team that we ever watched. Because
probably
I'll
the
tell you what,
biggest Cinderella in NBA finals history.
bro,
I think so. It's up there at least.
this team's about to take down at least a team that was led by a top 3 finalist for MVP with the Bucks, with Giannis. Took down the Eastern Conference #1 seed in 6. Well, was it 6 or 5?
I think it was
It
6.
was
Oh no, it might have been 5.
it was in 5. Then you play the Knicks, who probably were the hardest team going into that finals, that conference finals, because they had to beat the defending champs and their superstar player. And now, if you beat the MVP and the best team in the NBA, oh Lord, I don't know how anybody could even, put that math together. It doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you said earlier, before in the early part of the podcast, we don't even know what that team's going to look like next year. We don't. Nobody even really believes this is a team that's going to repeat.
Yeah, because they got some
It's a
big decisions to make, like on Neesmith and Miles Turner with some money.
Yeah,
So we're gonna see what they're gonna do and how
but they
this
did
goes.
say there's reports out there saying that the owner is probably willing to pay the tax on whether they re-sign or add another. I think they are able to sign another max deal somewhere in there. So and same goes for OKC. Both those teams, they're gonna be the scary ones if they want to spend money. So I think it's a wake up call for the NBA. Like you can't just sit there and you know play copycat with other 3-point shooting teams. You might have to be who you are and be more athletic and more fundamentally sound to be a championship caliber team. But nonetheless, thank you for your time, bro. I know you got a lot going on tonight. Do your thing, but tell the people where they can find you, and we'll probably chop this up at some point, maybe after the draft.
I bet. Yes, man. You can find me on IG. The podcast, the Mr. Vincent Podcast. You can find that wherever you listen to your favorite pods at. IG at the Mr. Vincent Pod. YouTube, Mr. Vincent. I'm working out here trying to get better. I promise it's going to be really way smoother once the fall comes, and I'm going to get my format down to be way more consistent and everything, so I can push this content out there and try to really expand my brand. But yeah, in the meantime, you can find me there.
Absolutely. And make sure y'all follow him. If you follow him, you know where to find me. I'm also on YouTube. I have no audio at least right now, but come football season, we're gonna have some more audio out there. But until next time, we'll chop it up after the draft. We'll see how this Game 7 goes because I'm definitely excited to watch it tomorrow night.
Yeah, me too, I guess.
All right, my brother. Thank
All
you
right,
again
man.
for joining me. All
Yes,
right,
sir. You already.
peace.